Hello, friends. This time I will summarize a very interesting movie, and let's get straight to the story. Back in 1985, Devarada, who was still a teenager, was very angry when they found out that their friend, Farada Manor, had their nose ring taken by Rudra Manor. Yet, the ring was a symbol of Farada's tribal nobility. Rudra, who was Farada's step-brother, would return the ring if Deva could defeat Rudra's champion wrestler? Without hesitation, Deva entered the arena. Rudra had made a big mistake by messing with Deva. Farada asked Rudra to return the ring immediately. Before Deva did something to there, Farada's words were not a bluff. Farada knew their friend very well. To defeat the wrestler, Deva prepared a high-voltage cable. At first, the wrestler refused to fight Deva because they was seen as a child. But Deva kept provoking the wrestler. When the wrestler touched Deva's body courageously, Deva grabbed the electric cable. They both got shocked together. Farada cried seeing their friend unconscious. Fortunately, Deva woke up soon. Deva was very satisfied. After successfully defeating Rudra's champion wrestler, Deva's crazy action left their neck and left arm injured. But Deva didn't care at all. They asked Rudra to return Farada's nose ring. Rudra immediately complied with Deva's words. If Rudra dared to take Farada's nose ring again, Deva threatened to do something much bigger to Rudra. One night, a great tragedy happened at their place. Deva and their mother's lives were threatened. Deva locked the door of the house, with many nails to protect Deva's mother. Deva also tried to fight off the attackers, but the little boy was helpless. Deva's father had been killed first. Now the attackers wanted to rape Deva's mother before killing her. Deva could do nothing. In a critical moment, Farada emerged as the savior. It turned out the attackers were Farada's father's henchmen. They still wanted to kill Deva and their mother, on Farada's father's orders, for the sake of friendship. Farada was willing to sacrifice anything. Deva and their mother had to be left alive as a bargain. Farada handed over their bracelet or their realm of authority, melting the attacker's leader. Farada only asked that what happened be kept secret from anyone. Deva and their mother's lives were spared that night, but for safety, they had to leave far away. Before parting ways, Deva made a promise to Farada. "For you, my friend, whenever you call, I will return to this place," said Deva. They parted ways in a heartbreaking farewell. The beautiful memories of their time together always lingered. 32 years had passed. In 2017, an Indian businessman living in America, Krishna Khan, panicked because their daughter, Adia, was going to India without their knowledge. Krishna Khan asked for help from Bilal, who was in India. Bilal also panicked and scolded Krishna Khan. The people targeting Krishna Khan must already know that Adia is coming to India. They've been searching for the last 7 years. Adia's life is in great danger. The only person who could save Adia was Deva, the brave teenage boy who was now an adult. Bilal called Deva using a secret code. Deva was informed that it was time to fulfill Bilal's promise. Bilal would bring someone who needed Deva's protection. The enemy targeting Krishna Khan was Radharama, a seemingly insane but powerful woman. Even their servant, Obulama, wielded influence in several states. Adia's arrival, the daughter of Krishna Khan, had already been tracked by Obulama's henchmen. The plane would land around 6 a.m. at Babadpur Airport. Obulama immediately ordered their henchmen to capture Krishna Khan's daughter. Adia was unaware of the danger awaiting there. After getting off the plane, Adia became a target. Bilal was also there to save Adia. Bilal disguised themselves as the driver of the vehicle. That would take Adia. Obulama's henchmen intercepted Adia on the road. It was very easy for them to kidnap Adia in broad daylight. Adia was taken away in a vehicle prepared by the kidnappers. They didn't realize that the driver had changed. During the journey, Bilal diverted to another location. Bilal remotely disabled Obulama's henchman's car. From a distance with a device previously installed, Bilal brought Adia to safety. Adia was confused about what was actually happening. Bilal was also a stranger in Adia's eyes. Bilal asked Adia, "Talk to your father on the phone. There's no time to explain it to you. Just do whatever the man in front of you says," Krishna Khan said. Adia wanted to report to the police station. Bilal scolded Adia for talking too much. Without knowing the situation, Adia should never have come to India. The only way to protect Adia is to stay where Deva is. However, Adia had to keep their identity a secret from Deva's mother. Bilal took Adia to a remote area called Tinsukia, in the state of Assam. The local village head was tasked with taking Adia to meet Deva's mother. Adia was introduced as Dia, who hailed from Vijayawada. "They wants to teach English at the school," explained the village head. Deva's mother was very selective in accepting teachers at the school they managed. Adia, alias Dia, was given a 3-day trial period. If the students didn't like Adia's teaching style, Adia would have to leave on the 4th day. Deva themselves had just returned from work. Deva didn't acknowledge Adia at all. The next day, Deva finally met Bilal in person. They had to get Adia out of India as soon as possible. It seemed it wouldn't be easy for Adia to return to America. Radharama ordered their servant, Obulama, to immediately bring Krishna Khan's daughter to prevent Adia from leaving India. A murder case was filed against there. Searches were also conducted all over the country. Not only did the Hazard group move, but Obulama's other henchmen, Veda, also joined in searching for Adia. They harbored deep-seated grudges from 7 years ago. Dini Batuko, Adia herself, started teaching at the school. Adia was surprised to see Deva's mother, who was so strict and stern. One of the school staff, Chandra, informed Adia about Deva's mother's role in educating the children of the mine workers. Deva's character was very different from their mother's. Deva was a brooding, quiet, and solitary young man. Deva only socialized with children, although often not respected. Deva's daily life was only as a mechanic. They never engaged in violence, even if someone behaved rudely. Deva always backed down, physically tall and muscular, but timid in nature. Adia was puzzled. Deva, who was said to be able to provide protection, couldn't do anything. Adia saw for herself, just being late coming home from work. Deva was scolded harshly by their mother. Deva never dared to contradict their overprotective mother. Adia wanted to leave to return to America on their own, but Deva asked them to stay there for 1 more day. The next day, Adia was asked to go to the market to pick up a lamp by Deva's mother. When they was about to leave, Adia was harassed by some naughty mine workers. Deva, who was still watching Adia, asked the harassers to leave. Instead, Deva was mocked, and the harassers became more daring to molest Adia. Deva's emotions were provoked, but their steps were halted. They tried to restrain themselves by holding onto an iron pole. Adia, who was eagerly hoping for Deva's help, became disappointed. Luckily for Adia, a police patrol car passed by at that time. The harassers left because they didn't want trouble. Adia was very annoyed by Deva's cowardice. If only they knew Deva wasn't a cowardly young man. Proof of this: the iron pole that Deva had been holding onto almost collapsed due to the strength of Deva's grip. Adia's presence with Deva remained undetected. Obulama, who lived in Hyderabad, became more anxious. Their henchman, Hazard, then spread Adia's photo throughout the network in India. Lama was impatient to find Krishna Khan's daughter. Not to mention, Abu Lama had to deal with the shipment of illegal goods to Nepal. The goods were worth $100 million owned by foreign investors. To handle all of this, Abu Lama only sent one person named Rinda. Even the investors were surprised. Moreover, Rinda chose to sleep in the truck. Abu Lama's henchman, Nayak, who was with the investor, assured the investor not to worry. Once those goods were stamped with a special stamp, no one could stop the truck. When the trucks were about to leave the port, many police officers came to raid. The investor with Nayak panicked, while Rinda continued to sleep. Indifferent, the officers then inspected the goods inside the truck. They were immediately terrified, as if seeing ghosts. The reason was the goods had a special stamp. The stamp originated from a place whose name alone would make one's hair stand on end. Nayak boasted even more in front of the investor. No one in India could stop that stamp. The shipment journey went smoothly without any more obstacles. All the checkpoints dared not obstruct their efforts. The search for Krishna Khan's daughter also bore fruit. The girl's photo was on the mobile phone of a mine worker who had flirted with Adia. Adia's presence was revealed in Tinsukia. The location of Tinsukia was very remote, with no CCTV cameras there, and even banks or post offices were not available. Dozens of people were sent to take Adia at that time. Adia was going to bring lunch for Deva to replace Chandra. One box was left behind, so Deva's mother had to go after Adia and give there the food. After that, Adia immediately wanted to leave because they was still upset with Deva. Abu Lama's henchman came and forcibly took Adia away. Once again, Deva wanted to help, but they stopped their steps. Deva chose to remain silent even though Adia asked for help. Adia resigned herself. Deva couldn't be relied upon. Bilal, who saw from afar, ran to save Adia. Deva's mother, who had just arrived, was shocked to see many thugs forcibly taking Adia. Deva's mother pleaded with the mine workers to save Adia, but no one dared to act. Bilal themselves threw away the wood in their hand. After seeing Deva's mother, only one person could save Nadia. That was Deva, but Deva's mother didn't want their son involved in violence. The problem was the thugs wanted to kill Deva before leaving. That was a big mistake they made. Deva's mother couldn't stand idly by if their son was in danger. It turned out, all this time, Deva had never wanted to engage in violence because of the promise they made to their mother. Deva, I'm the one who forbade you to raise your hand against anyone. Now I release you from any limitations, said the mother. Deva, and drumroll when their mother said that. The real Deva emerged. Two people who came to kill Deva were subdued in just 1 second. Deva's blows were so powerful that they could send opponents flying meters away. Adia was shocked to see Deva. The children, who often teased Deva, seemed incredulous, while Bilal smiled proudly because Deva was allowed to act by their mother. Deva's fighting style was very graceful and acrobatic. Deva truly looked strong and mighty. They was fierce and ferocious. It couldn't be denied that Deva was an experienced fighter. Deva looked strong and formidable. They could fight while casually smoking a cigarette. If Deva was so brave during their teenage years, imagine what they would be like as an adult. The thugs were fried like shrimp paste. Adia was wide-eyed watching Deva's actions. How could they not be? Even the sturdy bodies of the thugs could be lifted with just one hand. Deva even had time to pose wearing sunglasses. Dozens of thugs were truly made into dust after all the enemies were killed. Deva gave Adia's scarf back. Adia's heart was already fluttering with Deva's strength and masculinity, but Deva had returned to silence. Not a single word came out of their mouth. Deva's mother panicked after learning Adia's identity. The person who was scolded the most was Bilal. For the last 7 years, Deva's mother had been urging their son to move around, so as not to get involved in the past anymore. Bilal ended up destroying their peace. Deva was persuaded by their mother to move again, seeking a safe place. Bilal was also asked to take Adia away, and Deva remained silent, obeying their mother's every word. Adia didn't know what to say. The purpose of forcing myself to come to India, to bring my mother's ashes, my father never allowed my mother, and I came to India. My mother's last request was for their ashes to be brought to India. Please do it for me, said Adia as they handed their mother's ashes to Deva. Meanwhile, Abu Lama didn't understand why their henchmen were incompetent, just bringing a girl. So the task was transferred to Rinda, who was escorting the shipment to Nepal. Rinda was asked to take the route through the Burma border. Rinda had to bring a girl from Tinsukia in the morning. Deva and their mother were going far away to a new place. They left Adia with Bilal. Abu Lama's henchmen had just arrived. Bilal was powerless against many enemies. Bilal and Adia were captured. All of it monitored by Abu Lama's henchman named Deva in Hyderabad through cameras. Deva's mother also saw it but refused to interfere. Adia was then given a special stamp and put into the truck. When Deva's mother saw the stamp, they was in a dilemma. Their attitude changed. Deva was asked to stop and save Adia. Adia herself became more confused by everything happening. Adia asked Bilal about their father's past and what the stamp meant. Adia pointed at the stamp on their arm. Bilal understood something was about to happen. Adia was asked to hold on tight. Bilal was sure Deva and their mother wouldn't let Adia be taken away. And indeed, Deva was preparing various types of weapons from atop the hill. The weapons were automatically fired at the truck carrying Adia. Bilal and Adia were fine because they were prepared. It seemed Deva was ready for battle. They was alone but equivalent to thousands of soldiers. Because Deva was a sailor, a soldier. One of Deva's weapons struck hundreds of enemies at the same time. Krishna Khan came from America to Abu Lama's place in Hyderabad. Krishna Khan asked for their daughter not to be harmed. But Abu Lama was so arrogant and boastful. Abu Lama, if only you knew who my daughter has been with all this time, you would surely let her go, said Krishna Khan. Before Krishna finished speaking, Abu Lama's henchman, Veda, reported that the trucks had been stopped. Abu Lama immediately lost their temper upon hearing it. How could anyone dare to do it? Krishna Khan provided additional information that the one who dared to stop the stamped trucks was Devarata. The name Devarata, alias Deva, made Abu Lama's whole body tremble. Their hands trembling, Abu Lama was weak, instantly pale. Abu Lama's mood swung wildly, indeed. The name Deva was very frightening. Deva further showed their bravery by engaging in close combat. Deva was not only proficient in using firearms, but also skilled with a sword. Dozens of remaining enemies were mercilessly dealt with. Hazard and Rinda joined the fray. Rinda was ready to shoot Deva while they was fighting. That's when the tattoo on Deva's left arm was revealed. Hazard, who saw the tattoo, was stunned. Even Rinda became unconscious. Their weapon fell to the ground. The investor monitoring via helicopter with Nyack was very disappointed because someone could stop the stamp. Nyack couldn't brag anymore. They're the one who created that stamp, Nyack revealed. The person Nyack referred to was Deva. Deva's exploits were well known to Obulama's superiors, Radharama. Radha realized that no one could match Deva. Deva's only equal opponent was Vardaraja, the ruler of Kansa city. The stamp stopped by Deva was a symbol of Farada, the king manor of Kansa city. Farada would surely be furious. Radharama eagerly awaited the battle between Deva and Farada. They had been friends and rivals. This time only one person would survive. If Farada doesn't win, then the one who will win is Salar de Varadarasa. Deva has already gained a big name and was once known closely. People like Rinda or Hazard ran for their lives. Deva was not their match. The information about the person who stopped the stamp has reached the ears of Farada Raja Manor in Kansa. Such a thing happened for the first time. Farada could immediately know the culprit. No one in India could stop the stamp except Deva. The rules of Kansa were clear. Anyone who stopped the stamp must die. There was no negotiation. While they became curious about their father's past, the concert world and Deva Bilal finally agreed to tell the story. Some stories are scary to watch. Some stories are scary to hear. But this story is very scary, even just to think about. Bilal began their story. The story of Kansar began with a group of ruthless robbers who lived thousands of years ago. They lived in a place between the mountains and the sea in West India. Starting in 1127, the place of the robbers became known as Kansar. They looted villages and cities without leaving a single survivor. All the loot was taken to Kansa. The inhabitants of Kansa were very strong and unmatched. They consisted of 3 tribes, the Manor, Ganyar, and Soihanga tribes. The 3 tribes lived harmoniously, under a leader of their own choosing. Over time, Kansa became more prosperous and wealthy from the spoils of their raids. Kansa grew into the toughest city, to the extent that the British colonizers never managed to set foot in Kansa. Every time the British army tried, they were always defeated by the people of Kansa. After India gained independence in 1947, Kansa refused to be part of India. The leader of Kansa at that time, Sipmaner, came to Delhi to remove Kansa from the map. Sipmaner also asserted that all kinds of rules in India would not apply in Kansa. The city of Kansar continued to develop rapidly. They accumulated a lot of money from various illegal activities and natural wealth. No one dared to disturb Kansar. High-ranking Indian officials complied because Kansa bore their political costs. The main strength of Kansa was not money but spreading fear. Sipmaner, as the leader of Kansa, began to build a new system. A set of rules was established in a book called Nibandhana, or Constitution. The book Nibandhana must be obeyed by all inhabitants of Kansa. Based on the book Nibandhana, Kansa was divided into 101 regions. Each leader was given a bracelet as a symbol. The leaders consisted of 61 governors, 8 lords, and 1 king who ruled Kansa. The person who became king was, of course, Sipmaner. In 1985, Sipmaner died. The 3 tribes in Kansa agreed to appoint Dara as the successor to the throne. Dara was the leader of the Soihanga tribe, most worthy of becoming the next king of Kansa. The agreement was not liked by Sipmaner's son, Raja Manor. Raja Manor's greed made their want to seize the throne by force. Raja Manor did not dare to openly oppose the Soihanga tribe, so a sudden attack was launched when all the Soihanga tribe were fast asleep at night. The future king Dara was successfully killed. No one was left alive that night. The streets of Kansa were flooded with Soihanga tribe blood. After the Soihanga tribe was ensured to be wiped out from the face of the earth, Raja Manor ascended the throne. The other tribe, Ganyar, did not dare to resist. Under Raja Manor, Kansar became even more feared. Raja Manor formed the largest and strongest army, and a giant wall was built around Kansar. Kansar at Chirugu, ladies. Time kept moving until 2010. Raja Manor extended the tenure of 61 governors to 8 lord positions. 5 individuals were chosen from the Ganyar tribe, while 3 lord seats were filled by the royal family. They included Rudra, Raja Manor's son from their first wife, then their son-in-law Barafa, and Raja Manor's brother-in-law. There was also Radha Rama, Raja Manor's pride from their first wife. Although Radha Rama didn't hold a lord position, their influence was strong because they was intelligent and close to their father. One day, Raja Manor sensed a group planning to rebel. Raja Manor would leave Kansar to verify the information, and the kingdom's responsibility was handed over to Radha Rama. Alongside Radha Rama, Krishna Khan was seen standing by their side. It turned out that Krishna Khan, who was Adia's father, used to be Radha Rama's loyal assistant. Before Raja Manor left, Barafa had a private conversation with their father-in-law about Farada Manor. Apparently, Farada was Raja Manor's eldest son from their second wife. For 25 years, Farada had lost their privileges because they was considered to have discarded their honor bracelet. Raja Manor didn't know about Farada's actions. As a teenager to save Deva and their mother, Barafa hoped that Farada's mistake at the age of 10 could be forgiven. My king, Farada is also your blood. They deserves the honor that Rudra received, said Barafa. Raja Manor's heart softened. All the lords were gathered, and Raja Manor expressed their desire to see Farada Manor take a lordship position. Raja Manor asked for Ranga's lordship seat to be given to Farada. In that meeting, Farada Manor was also invited to attend. Until now, Farada's position was only as a governor under Ranga's lot, who obediently relinquished their seat. The king's request was an order for Ranga. Raja Manor then bid farewell temporarily from Kansar. Farada was very happy to become a lord. Their loyal companions were also proud, like Bilal and Baba, Farada's CK half-siblings who felt happiest as they had been less respected all along. Meanwhile, Ranga, honestly, found it very difficult to give up their lot seat to Farada. But it was impossible for Ranga to defy the king's words. Rudra, who had hated Farada since childhood, tried to instigate Ranga. Strangely, Barafa also joined in inciting, even though Barafa herself had suggested to their father-in-law to make Farada a lord. Now Barafa was advising Ranga to resist. Barafa claimed to care about Ranga because they didn't want the same thing to happen to their. Resisting didn't mean breaking the Nibandana rules. In Nibandana, it was clearly written that the strongest would win. The secret conversation resulted in a major agreement. They would kill Farada before Raja Manor returned to Kansar. The plan was executed quickly. They used all their strength to kill Farada, as much as Farada resisted. Because the attack was sudden and the enemies were much more numerous, Farada was easily defeated. Farada and their people were to be killed. Before Ranga killed Farada, Rudra wanted to take Farada's nose ring as they did when they were teenagers. But suddenly the concert bell rang loudly. The constitutional bell forced Rudra to stop. They all gathered in the palace. The bell was sounded on Radha Rama's orders. I, representing the king, order all forms of violence to stop. I declare a ceasefire, said Radha Rama. Rudra disagreed. Radha Rama, their blood sister, made a unilateral decision. Rudra, as a lord, proposed a vote to repeal the ceasefire. Finally, it was decided that the vote would be held after 9 days as per the rules. Just a day after the ceasefire was announced, all the lords and governors prepared for war. Various military forces from around the world were brought to Kansa, including troops from Ukraine, Austria, Siberia, South Sudan, Russia, militias from Afghanistan, and others. They came with advanced weapons. Farada's CK sibling was very scared. They didn't have the strength to fight against my sibling. Where are our troops? Which forces will we bring? How many are they? CK asked. Farada remained calm. The next day, Farada took Bilal and Rinda to fetch the troops they would bring to Kansa. The army's location is in Gujarat. It turns out the only soldier picked up is Deva, Farada's true friend. The two friends hugged, releasing 25 years of longing. Farada also satisfied their longing for their mother's cooking. Without Farada speaking about their purpose, Deva could already understand their friend needed help. Deva gladly agreed to go to Kansa, though they didn't know why. Deva asked their mother for permission to go with Farada. Deva's mother reluctantly let their son return to Kansa, remembering Farada's sacrifices that had allowed them to live until now. Deva was granted permission. Upon arriving in Kansa, Deva was registered as part of Farada's troops. The gatekeeper was surprised to see Farada only brought one person. All the lords were puzzled, as was Radha Rama. This was Deva's first time setting foot on their homeland after decades, and they came confidently. Even though they was alone, Farada took Deva to their residence in the Patran area. Since arriving in Kansa, Deva witnessed firsthand how poorly their friend was treated. Farada was not respected at all. Their peace was constantly disturbed at home, on the streets, and in eateries. Deva wanted to beat up those people, but Farada always restrained there. The various disturbances came from Wisnu and their men. They were asked by Rudra to make Farada's life miserable. Wisnu themselves was the son of Lord Narang from the Ganyar tribe. Narang, the leader of the Ganyar tribe, wanted Wisnu to become a lord to replace their. 4 days before the vote, Farada was asked to come to the Mahara region by Wisnu. Farada went there without inviting Deva to avoid unwanted things. Wisnu called Farada just to humiliate there. Wisnu was going to take a girl there to force her to do things, and Farada's job was just to watch. A teenage girl named Sarabi was to be subjected to this. Deva arrived later after being informed by a child. Everyone was asked to fold their hands. Deva also followed Farada's lead. The problem was that Sarabi's mother wanted to save their young daughter, but they was powerless and could only cry. Deva couldn't bear to see a mother cry like that, especially seeing Sarabi frightened. That's when Deva couldn't hold back anymore. Deva unfolded their hands. Farada became worried about what would happen next. Deva stepped forward to comfort Sarabi's mother. Wisnu's men wanted to shoot Deva. Instantly, Deva went berserk, showing their strength. Deva appeared like an angel of death, pouring out all their emotions, frustrations, and anger. Deva looked very terrifying. All of Wisnu's men were killed. Deva also wanted to kill Wisnu. CK asked Farada to stop Deva, but it was impossible to stop Deva. Deva became more enthusiastic. Because the women there fully supported there, Deva wasn't afraid of Wisnu's big name and their father's influence. At that moment, Deva ended Wisnu's life. The news of Wisnu's death quickly spread, and Deva's actions had shocked the entire Kansa. As a result of their actions, Deva, Farada, and their people were arrested by the royal army. Deva apologized to Farada. They just couldn't bear to see a little girl touched like that. Farada understood Deva's actions. They were thrown into jail before being tried by Narang. The next day, Wisnu's death was Narang's deepest sorrow. Radha Rama reminded Narang that Farada was not Wisnu's killer, and warned her not to punish the wrong person. Radharama's attitude was very different from their husband Bharafa's for some reason. Bharafa suggested to Rudra to take advantage of the situation. Rudra then provoked Narang, saying that although Farada didn't kill Wisnu when Wisnu was killed, Farada just stayed silent and did nothing. The time for Deva and Farada's trial arrived. Narang said nothing. They drew their sword to avenge their son's death. Deva was ready to accept the death penalty. Narang shifted their attention to Farada, making Deva panic. "I'm the one who killed your son, sir. Do anything you want to me. But don't touch Farada," Deva said. Narang ignored Deva's plea patiently. Deva begged, "Please don't hurt Farada. Please kill me, but I beg you not to touch Farada," Deva said. Narang instead struck Deva, and Farada showed the same attitude. Farada asked Narang to kill there, but Deva must not be harmed. Farada, responsible for Wisnu's death, was held by the collar by Narang. Deva, who had been patient until then, lost control. In a flash, Deva moved, cutting off Narang's hand. Everyone was shocked to see the incident. Narang groaned in pain. "I told you not to touch Farada." "Didn't I tell you not to touch there?" Deva shouted. Radharama didn't stay silent. The royal army was ordered to shoot Deva and Farada. Once again, Deva pleaded for no one to harm Farada, but their plea was ignored. Deva acted again, separating Narang's head from their body. And suddenly, the atmosphere became silent. Everyone's mouths and body parts froze, and no one dared to draw their weapons anymore. Deva then allowed themselves to be taken to jail with Farada. Deva apologized to Farada again for their actions. "I warned them not to touch you, but they didn't care. You listen, I dared them to touch you. No one is allowed to touch you," Deva said. The highly anticipated voting day had arrived. Farada also came to the polling place because they was a governor, but due to their violation, their voting rights could not be used unless the vote resulted in a tie. The voting began. The governors and lords used their voting rights. The interim results showed 48 votes against lifting the ceasefire, and 33 votes in favor of keeping the ceasefire. Only Raja Manor's vote remained, equivalent to 15 votes. Radharama panicked as time was running out. Luckily, Raja Manor returned using a helicopter. Raja Manor immediately used their voting right. They chose to keep the ceasefire, making the votes tied at 48 each. That meant Farada's voting right could be used. Farada's vote became the sole determinant. Before making their choice, Farada always remembered Deva's words. Surprisingly, Deva urged Farada to make Kansar bleed, either with fire or blood. That meant Deva wanted the ceasefire to be lifted, and Farada followed their friend's wishes. Farada chose to lift the ceasefire. Farada's choice shocked everyone and left them wondering. Raja Manor and Radharama were very disappointed. Farada had opened the door for the start of a battle between life and death for everyone. Open warfare began. Deva chose to tattoo their left arm first, while Farada immediately became Ranga's target. 100 of Ranga's henchmen were released to kill Farada. These people had been made insane and obsessed with the color red. Deva came to help Farada after their tattoo was done. Deva's whole body was covered in oil, making it shine. Deva and Farada collaborated to kill these weak humans. To people, Ranga's pets might be scary, but to Deva, they were no different from living robots that were easily destroyed. Farada was also quite impressive. They even killed Ranga with their own hands. After Ranga's death, Farada spoke honestly to Deva. Farada no longer wanted to fight for honor. Farada's only wish and big dream were to become the ruler of Kansar. Hearing Farada's words, Deva left without saying anything. while Raja Manor felt they already knew who the enemies and allies were. Raja Manor informed Radha Rama that many people were eyeing the throne. The first person mentioned by Raja Manor was their own son, Rudra Manor. Currently, Rudra is hand in hand with their uncle to seize Kansa. Besides Rudra, there is also a group preparing a rebellion, led by Lord Vali from the Ganyar tribe. Vali and several other lords from the Ganyar tribe have agreed to take over Kansar. Vali has bought many advanced weapons in preparation for Raja Manor's departure from Kansar, because they received information about a large order of weapons from Kansar. Another threat is Barafa. Radharama was surprised to hear their husband's name considered a threat. Raja Manor recently learned that Bhairava is not from the Manor tribe. Bhairava comes from the Suryanga tribe, which was considered extinct 25 years ago. It turns out Bhairava is still alive, and they're not the only one. One of Bhairava's henchmen, Tiru, who was captured, is also from the Suryanga tribe. All this time, Bhairava has been trying to create internal conflicts to weaken Kansar. Bhairava has also prepared an army. All Suryanga forces have been patiently waiting for the last 25 years. Now is the time to exact revenge. Tiru then leaked important information unknown to Raja Manor. 25 years ago, the leader of the Suryanga tribe, Dara, was supposed to be the king, but Dara was killed on Raja Manor's orders. Dara has a surviving son, Devarata alias Deva, who escaped death because they was saved by King Farada for a long time. The Suryanga tribe has been searching for their leader Deva's whereabouts, but Deva returned to Kansa on their own. Deva is the leader of the Suryanga tribe and the rightful heir to the throne of Kansa. Now all the forces in Kansar will be at war. Whoever is the strongest will win and rule Kansar. Inside the gate, the situation is dire. Outside the gate, the Suryanga forces are also ready to attack. Deva also seems ready to fight with all their might, mobilizing all their abilities. Bilal's story about Kansa gave Adia a headache. Adia needed time to ponder such a complicated story. Bilal. Does Deva know they're the rightful heir to the throne of Kansa? What if they knows? Adia asked. Adia's question represents all our questions. Many other things are still unrevealed. To find answers to all the questions in our heads, the villa director asks us to wait for Salar Part 2. The movie ends.